Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into the rundown. Before I hit that applause button, I want to give a big shout out to Mike Machiavello, Tommy Gant, and Nick Gwizdowski for coming on with us this week, talking some wrestling. So some of the best that the USA's got to offer right there as, we get ready for the Olympics being pushed back to 2021. Hopefully seeing those guys back again soon. I know Tommy and Nick are getting ready to do some cage wrestling for Chael Sonnen over on UFC Fight Pass. We wish them the best of luck. But, of course, we have the weekly rundown. It is back. And join in with me, back again, all the way from Miami. My guy, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
Good, man. It's good to be back, man. I'm back in Miami, beautiful weather and stuff. It's gone for a little while, like you said. I had to get my stuff together, but also give yourself a shout out to you for getting these interviews done and getting it done without me. So shout out to you.
Definitely, man. I had to match you, man. You did the Gutierrez one without me, so I had to come back with one. We still got two more coming pretty soon, but yeah, man, some bubble action coming in this week. So the seeding games are over as we record this right now. The Denver Nuggets are up 59-54 on the Utah Jazz. We'll get in our predictions with all of this stuff as we get through the show. But we gotta start with the bubble action. I think something that none of us saw coming. The Phoenix Suns went 8-0. Monty Williams won coach of the bubble. Very, very well deserved. Devin Booker went off. It was between him and Damian Lillard for player MVP for the bubble. Damian Lillard won that again, well deserved. So let's get into it, man. I think first and foremost, like we talked about before, a lot of rumors going around of how the NBA wanted a Pelicans-Lakers matchup first round to get Zion to play LeBron. Didn't look like it was going to happen, and it didn't happen. Me personally, I talked to you about this. I kind of felt like, did the Pelicans really want to get in? You obviously Zion is dealing with his injuries and everything, and you want to make sure that you don't play him too much to re-aggravate some stuff. But, I mean, late in games, he's a focal point for your offense. You want him in there. Didn't happen. He voiced his opinion. He was very frustrated about it. He wasn't happy. So, not only was he not happy, but then we started hearing other things. I've heard that Lonzo Ball seemed like he was pretty checked out in the bubble with how things were going with the Pelicans. And don't be surprised if they start making some roster moves in their offseason. They already started. And this was shocking to me, Alvin Gentry got fired right after the season was over.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, I don't know how much they really wanted to make it. Like, I guess we kind of don't know how bad his injuries were, but to me, it's 8 games. Like, we just came off from having a 4-month hiatus or whatever was going on. It's 8 games. I think you can really put him out there. Like you said, even if you are going to save some of his minutes, you kind of try to save some minutes for him towards the end of the game. He wasn't out there towards the end of the game, so it's kind of like, were you guys really trying to win or not? And to me personally, I think it's 8 games. I think it can't hurt him too much to go out there and go hard for a quick 8 games. And Alvin Gentry getting fired was a little shocking to me. I think something needed to happen there. I think maybe with him being moved, that might be a sign that maybe roster changes aren't coming as much, because maybe you keep him if you're going to make so many roster changes. So maybe they want to see how the team looks with a different coach. I think they like that young talent that they got over there. And Alonzo Ball didn't do good, but like we said, who kind of knows what's going on with the Pelicans there. So we'll have to wait and see. I think him being gone is surprising, and it's going to be interesting to see who they get in there next.
Yeah, there's a lot of good candidates going on around. Kenny Atkinson's currently looking for a job. I think Kenny Atkinson might be the front runner for the Bulls job, if I'm not mistaken. The Bulls got rid of their coach over there, Jim Boylan. I never even saw a reason why they hired him to begin with. It just never made sense to me. But they're on a whole turnover over there with their front office and everything. So they've got talent over there. We don't know what's going to happen exactly with Zach LaVine and stuff like that. But when Chicago, it's kind of like with a couple of these teams, right? The NBA is great when the Chicago Bulls are good, the Los Angeles Lakers are good, and believe it or not, when the New York Knicks are good. So you want to see. You want to see something start going in a city like Chicago, which is a basketball city.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Chicago's been interesting because I don't kind of know what they've been doing lately. They kind of hired a couple coaches. I forgot the guy who was at I think Iowa State or something like that, who he hired after Tom Thibodeau. So I'm not interesting. It's interesting to see what the Bulls are going to do. Like you said, they got a lot of talent over there, so they can get a good coach. I think Kenny Atkinson is actually a great coach for them with the young talent that they got over there with Kobe White, Zach LaVine, and all them. So them too is going to depend on who they hire next and see where they go. I think I actually got an argument. Speaking of the Knicks and the Bulls, got an argument with one of my friends about which team we thought would make the playoffs. And I picked the Bulls. He picked the Knicks. So we had a bet if the Bulls made the playoffs, he owed me some money. So I'm kind of high on the Bulls and their talent. So they get a good, a solid coach over there. I think their future's bright.
Yeah, I mean, they have young talent. There's no doubt about that. It's just about, being able to get those to harness those guys and get them to be able to fulfill their potential. So, they're that's pretty much it. Just get, excuse me, just get some more focal points in there with this upcoming draft and get the right guy to lead the team from the bench. So, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens with the Pelicans. I mean, again, just going back to that, like that was a little shocking to me, especially like I remember when they won the NBA lottery, like Alvin Gentry and David Griffin in there hugging each other. I thought like it was kind of like a match made in heaven, not like a match made in heaven, but like Alvin Gentry can coach. Like he's not a bad coach. Like it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and definitely, if you really think about it, he didn't really have a full chance to coach that team because Zion missed most of the year. So it's kind of unfortunate that we had the hiatus thing, and he come back. We don't know if it's his decision to kind of sit him and not play him as much, was the front office decision to kind of not play Zion as much. So it's kind of unfair to him if you really think about it. He missed Zion for most of the season. He finally gets him back. The season kind of gets cut short because of COVID. They finally come back, have 8 games, and he can't play him the way he wants to play him. So it's just unfortunate to see. Like you say, he's a good coach. So I'm pretty sure he'll land somewhere. If it's not as a head coach, it definitely as like a top assistant or something.
Yeah, most def. So, you do I want to get ahead of myself right now? No, I don't. One of the things that I think we saw in this bubble was some amazing performances from some guys. TJ Warren really balled out in this bubble. Michael Porter Jr., we mentioned a couple episodes ago how good he was looking. He looks pretty good now, too. Damian Lillard. But, one thing for me, and this is the first time I'm saying this on here, I don't expect, Dame excluded, I don't expect these guys to be able to carry this over once we get, into another season or possibly – as the playoffs move forward. Like, how, like, you go into preseason and some guys just look really good, and then, we get into the regular season and then it starts to progress, and it's just like, all right, that was pretty fluky. Like, that's how I feel about some of these. Like, TJ Warren putting 50-plus on the Sixers heads. Like, how often are we going to see that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think some of them will come down to earth, but we kind of talked about this on the show before. We wanted to see who would show up when the crowd is not there, because now it's like you're playing in an empty gym again. So it could be one of those things where like maybe some of them, like we talked about, is showing up now with the crowd not there, and it's kind of a different feel. But I think some of them come back down to earth. Like TJ Warren, we don't expect him to keep up. He averaged like 30 in the bubble. I don't expect him to keep that up. But some of them are young players, and I think Kenny Smith had brought it up like they had 4 months off after playing the whole season. So that's 4 months, even though like I guess some of them couldn't get in the gym, but the ones that could get in the gym, that's 4 months of training. If you really think about it, that's a whole off season before coming back. So he was saying like some of the people who are rookies are kind of like sophomores now coming back into this bubble. So some of the younger players, Darius Bazley's been playing good. Like you said, Michael Porter Jr., some of those young players, I can maybe see them keeping it up, but it's going to be interesting to see when we kind of get out that bubble situation to see if it was like maybe the younger players get affected by the crowd a little more, or did like having that time off, they was really able to develop their game. I think Michael Porter Jr. definitely probably be able to keep it up. He's the #1 player in the nation. He just having back problems. I think the extra 4 months kind of helped him get his back together. And with the experience, I think he's someone to look out for definitely with the Nuggets.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody to look out for. I just, his jump was just a crazy one. He was averaging about like 12 points a game or something, maybe even less. And right now he's averaging about 29 and looking very good. He's looking very good doing it, and he's looking like a focal point for the Denver Nuggets as we speak. So, and the game is tied. So, it's going to be interesting to see him moving forward. He's actually on my screen right now. And, that's definitely one right there.
Yeah, definitely. And a couple other young players, like I said, Darius Bazley is playing good. I think he was the first rookie since James Harden to score for the Thunder to score back-to-back 20-point games. It's interesting because especially towards the end of the bubble, a lot of teams are kind of worried about seeding and trying to play do we want to win this game? Do we really want to lose this game? Playing our young players a little more. So the bubble, I don't know if you want to say take a little bit of this with a grain of salt, but I think some of it is just having that time off and coming back and being able to work on your game, just coming back a better player. Like I said, it's kind of like a whole off season off. And my thing now is kind of like this happened to Ja. With Ja coming back in the bubble, teams have more time to prepare for you, and they know what you bring to the table. So a lot of teams were focusing a lot in on Ja. So now it's up to them to adjust after this, because the players now, like Michael Porter Jr., he's catching people off guard with what he's doing. But next season when it starts, they know about Michael Porter Jr. So now there's a scouting report for you. So now you have to adjust to what's going on. And that's kind of how, even though Ja still played good in the bubble, I think that kind of affected Ja a little bit and Memphis a little bit, because a lot of teams came in with game plans for him when before coming in, they didn't kind of know. Like they seen him, but they didn't know what he was going to be on the NBA level. So he kind of caught a lot of people off guard. So now it's going to be interesting to see these young players kind of adjust from here.
Yeah, most def. Well, I guess to go from there, what I wanted to talk about really is a culmination of things. You remember during the groove of things when things started to switch up as far as lineups and things like that goes for the Nets. Kyrie Irving did an interview like after a post game interview where he was talking about like his core group of guys. I'm only bringing that back up because Karis LeVert has looked very good in this bubble. And number one, like if you've been watching the Brooklyn Nets, seeing how good Karis LeVert looks should not be shocking to you. Karis LeVert was the focal point of the Nets a year ago until he got hurt. And then they really put the ball in D'Angelo Russell's hands. If Karis LeVert would have never gotten hurt last season, D'Angelo Russell would have never been an all-star. Karis LeVert would have been the all-star on that team. And that's your big three. It's Kevin Durant, it's Kyrie Irving, and it's Karis LeVert. The Brooklyn Nets might get swept by the Toronto Raptors, but Karis LeVert is going to put up some amazing numbers, some very good games for them in these playoffs. He had a good look against the Portland Trailblazers that just didn't go in. He could have sent them packing, and you might have been right with your pick, but you weren't, so it is what it is.
There's a lot to talk about. We got to get on to the Blazers. But, when the Kyrie had made those comments, I said we have to wait and see what the team looks like with Kevin Durant. If you think about it right now, Karis LeVert is the number one option. He's doing what he's doing. But at that time, Karis LeVert was the number two option. He's adjusting to Kyrie. So maybe he wasn't playing up to the potential he could play with. But think about when KD comes back. Now he's moving to a third option. And you see what he's doing as the number one option. As soon as he gets to adjust, because there's always an adjustment period with KD, Kyrie, bringing in great players, they're going to have the ball in their hand a lot. So right now he's playing with the ball in his hand a lot. So when he really gets to adjust to being the number three option, that is your big three. So that's why when Kyrie made those comments, I'm like, you kind of have to wait and see what the team is like with KD, because KD changes kind of the whole dynamic. He draws so much attention just being KD, hurt or not hurt. So that's what I'm saying. Like even with Joe Harris is going to become such a better player. He's going to get so much open shots. And then that just opens up so much stuff for Karis LeVert, because now Karis LeVert has your third best defender on him. And you see what he's doing with some people's best defender on him. So I think once he got to adjust, they were going to be fine. That's what I'm saying. Kyrie's comments were kind of too premature.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that also comes to the coach too. They're getting ready to start their coaching search now as they embark on the playoffs. I actually saw a crazy thing that they're going to try and go after Gregg Popovich, which it makes sense because the people, one of the people that runs their front office, Sean Marks, correct? Sean Marks used to work for the Spurs. So it makes complete sense that they would want to go after Gregg Popovich. Don't see it actually happening. I think Gregg Popovich is either going to go another year with the Spurs or he's just done coaching. But, I mean, hey, it doesn't hurt to shoot your shot. We do it all the time.
I think it makes sense for everyone to go after Popovich if you can. So I think that is just something, like you said, I don't think it's going to happen. But I think any team here, maybe besides – the Warriors, and maybe even the Warriors can go after. I think anyone, if you can go after Pop, you go after Pop. So it's good that they're trying. Like you said, they got some Spurs people over there, but I think it's not going to happen. I think Gregg Popovich, like you said, is probably either going to coach another year with the Spurs, or he might be done. I think he might be done, but I can see him going another couple years.
It's because, I mean, that's the other thing that we didn't even talk. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet. The Spurs are missing their first playoff appearance in 22 years. Like, it's the end of an era, an amazing era. I have never known the Spurs not being in the playoffs. Like, I was born in 1994. As long as I've really been watching basketball, I've been watching the Spurs in the postseason. I've watched them win multiple championships. They broke my heart once watching them win a championship. So, you know, with that being the end of their playoff drought, does he say, "Hey, you know, I'm just gonna go too," and then we see if Tim Duncan might get that job or Becky Ham? Like, it's tough to see, but I definitely was tough to gauge. I definitely don't see him going to another team though. I think it's either Spurs or he's just done. Like, it was a hard year for him anyway. Like, his wife passed away. You know, we've heard the rumors of how long is he going to coach and, you know, everything else going on in the world as well. So I just don't see him picking everything up and moving. Or maybe he could. Who knows?
Yeah, I doubt it too. I probably definitely don't see him doing that. Like I said, I might see him with everything going on, like you said, with his wife passing, unfortunately, and just everything going on with COVID and their streak ending. And it's like you said, it's kind of like the end of an era. LaMarcus Aldridge kind of hurt himself, and then who knows what's going to happen with DeMar DeRozan. So I think he might be thinking they could be heading for a rebuild. So I think he might be thinking with like everything going on, COVID, all that type of stuff. It might be safer for him to just kind of ride off into the sunset. The streak ended. It was a good run. It might be one of those things where it's like they got some good coaches coming up behind him. So you kind of just ride off into the sunset and play it safe, especially because who knows how next season's going to work again. Are they going to be in the bubble? Can he really risk being in the bubble and stuff like that? So I think he might just ride off into the sunset.
Well, it sounds like DeMar DeRozan's probably going to be out of there. You say rebuild, even with Pop going, the Spurs don't rebuild. Like, you know, they got DeJounte Murray, a couple other guys in there, Lonnie Walker, your man over there from Miami. So I mean, like, they got guys that have shown within the last couple of years to really become not proven players as far as the playoff goes, but solid NBA players. So I think even with Pop gone, there's still going to be a solid team. We've seen Becky Ham and Tim Duncan take that head coaching role while he's had to sit out for various reasons this past season. So they're still going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. And the West is still so tough. Are they going to be able to get back in again?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean. I guess maybe not a full-on rebuild, but I don't expect them kind of be in the playoffs next year. If you get rid of DeRozan, who knows how LaMarcus Aldridge comes back. And when they look at it, it depends on what they get for DeRozan, honestly. And then it's kind of like, do we trade Aldridge now? What do we do with him? Like you said, they still got some solid young players, but who knows how, like you said, how good they're really going to be without those other players around them, without Aldridge, without DeMar DeRozan. How is it going to be with Murray, DeAndre? I don't know why I can't see his name right now. But their point guard going from being the third option or whatever to being the first option. So that's kind of a little different. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the young players kind of develop. But like I said, it might not be a full on rebuild. It's gonna depend on what they get back for those guys. But I think they might miss the playoffs next year, maybe a couple of years after that.
Yeah, most def. So, I mean, just to move on from there, man, you know, something that you brought up, this is the first time we're getting to talk about it on here. Well, sort of, you've alluded to it on here before, but something you brought up from the beginning of the restart was your fear that, you know, taking all this time off, guys dealing with injuries coming back from this time off. We've seen Ben Simmons is done for the postseason with the knee injury. Russell Westbrook has a high quad sprain. He's expected to miss the first 2-3 games of that series against Oklahoma City. We'll get into that later. Jimmy Butler's dealt with a foot injury. TJ Warren, as well as he's played, has dealt with some things. I know Anthony Davis is dealing with some minor stuff as well. There's been injuries across the board for these NBA players. So it begs the question, fan entertainment aside, how worth it was it for these guys to come back and play?
I think it was worth it at the end of the day. They had to finish the season off with everything that was going to be going on with the CBA and just not wanting it to get ripped up and stuff like that. So they had to finish the season off. And I guess it would have been weird to just be like, all right, everything would happen with COVID and stuff. But it's like, who would have won? We all wanted to see. There's no Warriors this year. there was the league is kind of about who knows who's going to win this year. So we all kind of wanted to see it happen. So, and also like we know like the risk that people are kind of putting themselves in with injury, but we didn't kind of know if that, because it could have not happened. You know what I mean? Like it was unpredictable. Like we could have had no injuries right now, or maybe only one or two small ones. So it's like you still take the chance, especially with everything going on with the CBA, and you're in the bubble, so everyone's safe, not really like hurting your health wise, like COVID wise or anything like that. So I think it was worth it at the end of the day. But like you said, it's just unfortunate that some people had got hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't even talk about that. Like Joel Embiid had a freak injury as well. So, like, can we just get into it now? Like, the Sixers are cooked.
The Sixers are in trouble, big trouble. They are, I think, we talked about this on here a lot. Brett Brown's job is definitely on the line, and they ended up in a matchup with the Celtics. The Celtics, yeah. So they're in trouble, and they haven't. I'm not going to count them out because Embiid is like, I don't know if this.
He's playing?
Yeah, Embiid's playing.
You gonna play?
Yeah, he's gonna play. I don't know if he can carry them by himself. He definitely has probably the talent to kind of do it, and I don't really know if the Celtics have a player that can really stop him. But I don't see him kind of carrying the whole thing by himself. So I think they're in trouble. They're in big trouble, and I'm not going to count them 100% out, but they're in trouble.
Well, Embiid's playing, so I'll give him a game. I think Joel Embiid should be able to get you a game. They have the talent, though. You know, Al Horford's still there. Tobias Harris is playing. Josh Richardson's there as well. You know, Shake Milton's look very good at when he played the point guard position for them. So, I give the Celtics that series in 5. You know, maybe 6, and I think that's stretching it a little bit. But, yeah, like Brett Brown he's done. I'd love to know like who's going to be up for that job. It better be somebody that's proven, that's going to be able to make those two guys mesh, because before you even talking about breaking that up, you should find a way to make it work. And one of the things we got a chance to see in this bubble was Ben Simmons starting to hit a consistent perimeter shot. So whether or not that was the fact that there was no fans, we heard that he was seeing a sports psychiatrist as well to work on that. You want to see some way to make them make that work. Like Elton Brand came in. I thought he's done a fairly good job since he's gotten that job. Now you're going to get the chance to hire your head coach. Exactly who is it going to be to make that thing work?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, I wouldn't break it up just yet. Hopefully Ben Simmons comes back healthy for next season, and you run it back with a new coach. Maybe you tweak a couple pieces. Maybe you get a couple more shooters around them, and maybe try to get rid of Al Horford if you see it not working, or you kind of keep Al Horford and see how it works with a new coach. But I definitely wouldn't break it up just yet. And yeah, I think Brett Brown's out of here. I think they're not going to end up winning the series, and it just doesn't look good for him. So I think he's out of here, and we're going to see who they hire next, and you run it back one more time. I think after that, though, if they don't look too good, more excuses.
Yeah, 100%. But then you just failed. You have 2 all-world talents on your team, and you couldn't do anything with it. You failed as an organization.
Yeah, it's like it's got to be tough because for all the positive that Elton Brand has brought, it's tough kind of letting Jimmy Butler go, especially when you see what he's done down in Miami with those guys. So it's like it's tough. If you're gonna look back on it, you're really gonna think like they should have kept Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, but I mean, it was going to be hard to do because by all indications, Jimmy Butler just wanted out of there. How much money were you going to throw at somebody who didn't want to be there to begin with? I mean, he's alluded to some things that he didn't like there as well. Hasn't really said exactly what it was. I mean, some of us have gotten the hints there a little bit, but even with him gone, like they still should have been able to find. Like they finished in the 6th seed. There's no reason why they shouldn't have been a top 4 seed in the East.
Definitely. I think they should have definitely. It should, to me, they should kind of be above Indiana. I know we talked about TJ Warren coming into the bubble hot, but that game that TJ Warren went for 52 was a big one for them to kind of move up to that 4-5 seed or whatever. So I think they should definitely be above Indiana. So I think there's no excuses for that. So, yeah, definitely. I think they're in trouble. But like I said, Jimmy Butler didn't want to be there. He talked about how he kind of just rather be in Miami. It's better weather and stuff like that. But still, I think, yeah, but you got to think there was something wrong there because they were this close to beating the Raptors. So for him,
game seven freak shot with freak buzzer beater. Like who predicts something like that? Like they could have won an NBA title last year. Real, I'm not just saying that could have been them last year.
and if you think about that, that should be a reason for you to want to come back. So for him not to want to come back, there really had to be something going on there. So that's a problem somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, I know he didn't really mesh well with Brett Brown either, but I feel like it was a couple factors in him wanting to leave because I know him and Embiid were pretty tight. I don't really know his relationship with Simmons like that, but I mean, Simmons is already an all-world defender. He's pretty. We noted he has one weakness in his game, and it's his jumper.
Yeah, so hopefully he develops that and things like that. But I think looking back on it, even because like if he had a problem with Brett Brown, then maybe the time to switch coaches was then. So you waited an extra year, and then things kind of don't work out. You can maybe blame it on Ben Simmons' injury this year, but they wasn't looking good before the injury, kind of. So they still might have been in the 6th seed with him here now. So it could have been the same fate. So maybe if you look at it then, there's time to change coaches then and try to keep Jimmy Butler and run it back because y'all might have been this close to the title.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we start getting our predictions and everything, 79-76 Utah over Denver. We're gonna keep giving you guys those updates as they keep coming through. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm giving you the updates. I got a little more. You lagging over there a little bit. But, yeah. So anyway, we'll start off with the East. So you're 1 through 8. You know, it's one through 8. So the Milwaukee Bucks will be taking on the Orlando Magic first round. I think the Orlando Magic are probably going to go down swinging in that one. I'll take Milwaukee to win that one in 5. I don't know how do you feel?
I'm taking Milwaukee in 4. I think they're gonna. I think the Bucks have to. They haven't. I've seen people question them about the bubble, how they've been playing in the bubble. I think Giannis is going to try to come out and show that they're ready. And I guess the seeding games because they're already kind of number 1 seed. Maybe they're playing around a little bit. I think he's going to try to come out and make a stamp and get them out of there early.
Well, I think the questions come with, you know, can they keep this high level performance that they've had for the regular season going in the playoffs? Because that was kind of their problem last postseason. They were a great team. They put up historical numbers as an offensive team, and then they got to the postseason, and especially once they saw Toronto. And when they made the defensive switches over there that Nick Nurse made, like things started to fall apart for them. So people are going to game plan for them. Obviously, we know the big one is keeping Giannis on the perimeter and, you know, daring him to make those shots. And are those other guys going to be able to remain consistent? So I think that's what, you know, most of us are looking forward, or not forward, but looking for when we watch the Bucks play. I don't think they're going to have too much of a problem with Orlando. I just say I feel like 5 because, you know, you got Aaron Gordon, some other young talent there. I know Jonathan Isaac's not going to be able to play because he got hurt, so he's done. But, you know, Markelle Fultz is – shout out to Markelle Fultz, man. He's not balling, but he looks a hell of a lot better than he did in Philly. So, I mean, they got some young pieces over there that I think are going to be able to help them at least get a game.
Yeah, I see your point, and I think, like you said, I don't think the Bucks are going to have too much problems with Orlando. So I would say if there was home court advantage, I'll definitely give Orlando 1 based off the home crowd and kind of how that'd be going, them playing off the crowd. But I think in this bubble situation with really no home court advantage, I think, and that the Bucks not being too kind of like their role players are not going to probably have too much problems with Orlando, like maybe in some other series later on. I think the role players be able to step up in the series and kind of get them out of here early.
All right. So I see that. So anyway, 2 versus 7. We got the Toronto Raptors versus the Brooklyn Nets. I just bigged up Karis LeVert a lot. Probably think the Nets might get swept though, but it's going to be like maybe one of those where it's just like you lost in 4, but some of those games were pretty close because, you know, you put up a valiant effort. But that's just kind of the way I feel. They don't even know who their head coach is in Brooklyn right now.
Yeah, I want to give the Nets 1, but I think they're going to get swept too. Everything you just said, I think, like you said, it's going to be close ones. I think Karis LeVert is going to kind of keep them in the game and things like that. But I think the Raptors will probably just be too much for them. And like you said, we don't even know who their coach is. I think they're going to go down swinging, but I think they're going to get swept here.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the Raptors are clicking, right? The Raptors could legitimately come out of the East this year, man. Not only could they could win a title. They could go back to back. I really feel that. I don't think it's outlandish to say that.
Probably not, but I think I don't know about the Western Conference teams. I think they wouldn't have enough to beat the Clippers if the Clippers come out, and I don't think they would have enough to beat the Lakers either.
All right, all right. So anyway, moving on from there, back to the opposite side of that bracket in the East, the Miami Heat versus the Indiana Pacers. I am being completely objective when I say this. The Miami Heat are going to beat the Indiana Pacers in 6 games. Jimmy Butler is going to be out here making T.J. Warren look like his son. I got to see what Victor Oladipo. I don't even know if he even wants to be in Indiana anymore. He might be in Miami in a year or two. Who knows? But yeah, I think the Miami Heat are that sleeper team in the East. I'm not going to get ahead of myself because we're not going to do full playoff predictions this episode, but definitely watch out for Miami. And they, aside from it, for me feeling like it'll go 6, I think they're going to kind of cruise past Indiana. And Nate McMillan, very good coach. He does some amazing things in Indiana, but Spo's going to prove to be the better one in that duel. They got the perfect blend between vets and young guys, getting everybody back in, a semblance of how they were looking before the bubble is going to be key. But like I said, got I got Miami at 6.
I'm going to agree with you and take the Heat, but I'm going to take the Heat in 7. I think Indiana has been playing great basketball since the bubble started. I think T.J. Warren's probably not going to be as hot in that series, like you said. But I think just the way Indiana's been playing, I think they got some momentum, and I think they've been playing well. So I got it in 7. I think the Heat will eventually win, but I think Indiana will be able to push from 7 just off all that.
All right, we'll see. We differ by like 1 game. TJ Warren definitely not gonna be high, by the way. You saw what he looked like.
He's gonna have maybe. I think he's gonna have 1 or 2 games where he gets off, and then Oladipo's will probably have 1 or 2 games when they get off. So I think they'll take him 7.
Did you see his first game against Butler? Very cold, very cold.
But it's a whole playoff series. He's gonna have some time to adjust, and maybe that's what I said. Maybe not the whole. He's not gonna be hot the whole series, but if it's 1 or 2 games, I can see it. And then Oladipo will probably get him 1 or 2 games, so I can see it going 7.
All right. We'll see. I'm not a gambling man. Otherwise, I'd say if you want to bet on that. But so yeah, and then that last playoff series in the East. The Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics. I'm taking the Celtics in 5.
Whoa. I'm going to take the Celtics also, but I will take them in 6. I think Embiid's going to be able to get them 2. I think he's going to have 2 monster games with at least 35 and like 15. He's going to get them 2. They don't like each other either.
And I know for sure. They've had some battles in the past in the postseason. 2 years in a row, correct?
Not last year, because the Bucks got rid of the Sixers last year. Yeah. I think it was 2 years, the 2 years before last year.
So Embiid could have a monster game, and I expect him to, and they'll still lose. Like that's kind of my thing there. Like I fully expect Embiid to go off a couple games and have an L at the end. So like. I just don't trust Brett Brown in these positions, especially against Brad Stevens. Like he's losing that.
Yeah, my problem with them is that the Celtics have too much firepower. With Ben Simmons being out, I think the Sixers have to rely too much on Embiid. That's why I feel like if Embiid's gonna have to have 2 monster games in order for them to get 2. I think Tobias Harris and Al Horford to be able to like keep them close, but I think at the end of the day, the Celtics might just have too much firepower with Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think they just at the end of the day they'll have too much firepower and too much other people who can create their own shots, kind of like how Tatum scores. Too much like scores for the Sixers kind of keep up with.
All right, yeah. So you said 6. I say 5. Again, we'll see. Let's get to that hardcore Western Conference. How you want to do this? Because I'm going crazy in the West. You want to start backwards and work your way up, or you want to start the same way as we did the East? How we doing this here?
It doesn't matter to me. Let's just, however you want to start it, let's go.
Let's start off on fire. I got the Blazers over the Lakers in 7.
First of all, I say he's going to get into the Blazers. First of all, Karis LeVert has to drive on that last play. You gotta put it on officials to call a foul. You just have to go. I mean, I understand, but you gotta go to the basket on that last play. At least get a foul or something. Well, I think they were down 1. He goes to the rim.
Two. I think he would have tied the game. He would have tied the game.
Okay. Yeah.
If he would have went up.
Yeah, so go to the rim and get fouled. He's playing too much on the perimeter in that step back shot. I think you go to the perimeter and get fouled. Now, on to the Memphis Grizzlies game. I thought Memphis should have won that game. I think the Blazers got lucky in 2 reasons. Dame and CJ. First of all, Dame had a terrible fourth quarter. CJ, shout out to you for stepping up. But they got lucky because they were able to rest the whole fourth quarter because neither one of them was guarding Ja Morant. They had Gary Trent Jr. and Ja Morant, and Ja Morant is carrying their whole offense. And I think he played the whole fourth quarter. So when it came down this stretch, they had control of that game for most of the second half. So when it came down to it, Ja was too tired. And then kind of like I was saying earlier, teams know how to focus in on him now. I think to start the fourth quarter, it should have been a little less Ja and went more to Jonas Valanciunas because he had a great second quarter. And I think you go through him, especially with the lead at the top of the fourth quarter, you go through him and kind of slow the game down a little bit and then kind of maybe let Ja take over after Valanciunas holds it down for a little bit. But shout out to CJ with a broken back. He made some tough shots because those are some tough shots because Ja was on him.
CJ's been hooping. As great as Damian Lillard has been, and he's going to continue to be great, CJ has really been hooping. Melo's been under a real resurgence. Bubble Melo is a thing, man. And you know what? That's why he's getting his first playoff matchup with Bron in years. He wants this. He's about to just know, man. Blazers in 7.
I got the Lakers in 6. And I think the Blazers have trouble playing defense a little bit.
You have to – no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that they have the trouble playing defense. I think they can keep up scoring-wise with them. I think the Lakers are going to have some problems on the perimeter with Avery Bradley being out. And with both of those 2 guards, if Dame is going to be hot like he was the last couple of games, they could knock him off. But I don't see that happen. I think it's tough to kind of go against Bron. We kind of don't know where we're going to get at AD in the situation. We've seen him in the playoffs a couple times, but we haven't really seen him as a number 1 seed being the favorite team or anything like that. So I think if AD shows up, the Blazers are kind of be in trouble. But I think at the end of the day, I can't bet against Bron in this one. I think the Lakers will get him in 6.
LeBron has never lost a first-round matchup in his career in the NBA. Was the LeVar Ball undefeated, never lost. That's LeBron. But I don't like what I've seen from the Lakers at all in the bubble. I think that, they're not making shots consistent. It's not so much about LeBron and AD as much as the rest of the team. And that's really why I didn't pick them to win the title this entire time. I've thought the depth of other teams like the Clippers is going to be an Achilles heel for them going forward. And, as good as those 2 guys are, it's, can they carry everybody else around them? I just don't like the way that the Lakers look as a whole. Now, Rondo has cleared quarantine and everything. We don't know exactly when he'll be back, possibly second round. See how you can integrate him back into that group and everything. But this team as a whole has to step it up. Even like Bron, for some of the performances that he's had, hasn't looked his greatest. Now, maybe you could say, they got the 1 seed locked up. He's just trying to save everything he's got for postseason play. He's not even going dark 30 this year. So it's gonna be interesting to see, but the culmination of what I don't like what I've seen from the Lakers, along with how good I think the Blazers have been. You mentioned their defense, right, with the Blazers. Yes, they do not play defense very well. You do have to outscore them, though. Not going to be that easy.
And here's where I think, to me, it really comes down to AD. I think like you said, Bron maybe been holding back a little bit for the playoffs to start. We know what you're going to get out of Bron. If AD is able to step up, I think that's really the difference maker. Because I don't think the Blazers have anyone really to guard AD. And the reason why I'm not as worried about the other players as much is because the Blazers don't really play defense. If it was a team like the Clippers, where like the other guys might be like locked down and not get as many opportunities, I'd be worried about them. But with the Blazers not playing as well as defense, the other guys may have some chances that they probably wouldn't have against a better defensive team. So I can see the other guys at least holding on long enough to where Bron and AD can take us home, and really Bron.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see. And I give AD credit. I think when AD really has the talent around him to kind of help elevate the rest of the team, like he does well. Like ironically, this was against the Blazers when they swept the Blazers. But when he had Rondo and Drew Holiday and the job that they did on CJ and Dame, like he looked very good in his postseason run with them. So I need to see how. Again, that's my theme. I need to see how the rest of the Lakers are going to look.
Yeah, and I understand your concern. I just think that with the Blazers not playing as much defense, I think someone on that bench or some of the other guys have to be able to get off, whether it's Dion Waiters having at least one or two good games, whether it's J.R. Smith having one or two good games, Caldwell Pope. I think with the other Blazers not playing as great a defense, like I said, if it was a defense like the Clippers, I'd be so worried about the other guys, and you have to rely so much on Bron and AD. But with the Blazers not playing as much defense, those other guys should at least be able to get off a little bit where they relieve a little pressure from Bron, really, but AD too.
Yeah, we will definitely see as they're playing tomorrow, and I'm not going to go to 2-7. I'm going to stay on the same side. So Oklahoma City versus the Houston Rockets. Kayson's picking Oklahoma City, probably like 6, maybe 7, probably 6. Yeah, I've been very high on the Houston Rockets this entire show. This entire time we have been doing this. Probably changing my pick. No Russell Westbrook for a couple games. They didn't even say how many games exactly. They said games. They didn't put a number on it. So unless James Harden's going to go out here and put up an out of this world performance, I don't even know if Eric Gordon's going to be back or not.
He's back.
He is back?
Yeah, he played last game.
Okay. So they got everybody except Russ. Russ is your point guard. He sets the tempo for that team. As I mentioned a couple of times, it went from nearly dead last in pace of play to top 3 with Russell Westbrook in there. Perfect style for them. That's how they want to play. The Houston Rockets should want to win this, should do everything in their power to win this series, because if you lose, you look very bad because you traded Chris Paul to Oklahoma City. But you got to be able to match what's going on right here. We know, but we get it. Oklahoma City had a 0.2% chance to get in. They completely crushed that. They got in. They got the 4-5 matchup there. I like everything I've seen from Oklahoma City, as I know you have. I just think not having Russ in there is going to hurt them tremendously. Like, if it was Russ, I'd probably pick the Rockets to beat the Thunder in 6. But because of that, I might flip-flop that and say Thunder in 6 or 7. Now, how many games are you taking the Thunder to win?
I'm going to take the Thunder in 6. I think they said Russ should be back maybe by game 3, hopefully, depending on how he responds to treatment. But there's a high chance that he might not be back at all. Now, I could see James Harden leading them to the series win without Russ. I think the team has kind of looked good. They look solid without Russ. I think if it was the opposite way around, without James Harden, they'll be in a lot more trouble. But I think James Harden by himself, he's going to slow the pace down. You know how he does his little dribble, step back. So, and he's going to be able to create a little bit for others. But I think, like I said it last week or maybe 2 weeks ago now at this point, Roberson might be back. He might be starting. I think he's going to give Harden some fits. I think Steve-O is going to give the Rockets big man, if you want to call him big man, you got to give the but I think he's going to give them some fits, especially with Steve-O kind of being one of like the strongest big men in the league. I think he's just going to be able to – it's going to be hard to knock him kind of off his post. Not even just got post moves, but trying to box out and rebound. So now unless the Rockets going to be hot for this whole series, I think they're kind of going to be in a lot of trouble. I think Chris Paul is going to be motivated. I think Chris Paul is going to motivate everybody to get up and want to get this one because he wants this one probably so bad. So I think that the Thunder are going to get it. I was picking the Thunder before Russ went down. I think with Russ being down just makes my pick look even 10 times better. But it's going to be a rough week for me because, my guy Russ, the Thunder, but I'm gonna have to go with the Thunder in 6. One of them has to come out of the first round because Russ hasn't been out the first round in 3 years, and neither have the Thunder. So one of them have to get out the first round, and I'm just gonna pick the Thunder in this one.
Well, of course you're gonna pick the Thunder. I wonder why. Um, hey, if I actually like the Rockets' chances better if they can get if Russ comes back like Game 3. I like the Rockets' chances better if they can get at least one of those 2 games from Oklahoma City. If they go down 2-0, it's over. But if they can get one of those 2, then I like the Rockets' chances a little better. That series would probably go 7 to me. The other thing I want to I say that people should watch out for, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to absolutely ball. Like he did his thing last postseason with the Clippers against the Warriors. And I think that, Eric Horn even talked to us about this as well. The impact that Chris Paul has had on his career with them 2 playing together this year has been tremendous. And I think it's only going to be him growing more and more as a player, being around a guy like Chris and being able to get out there and show what he's able to do.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting point because who guards him? I seen I forgot one of the Thunder, not Thunder, Rockets beat writers say that Eric Gordon is going to start for Russell Westbrook, and he's going to be the main one on Chris Paul. So, do you put James Harden or Shai Gilgeous? Who ends up guarding Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and just kind of how the Rockets play and see what they go from there? I think if James Harden is guarding him, I think they might try to attack James Harden, either kind of get him in foul trouble or just make him work on the offense and defense. Because without Russell Westbrook, he's going to have to spend a lot of energy on offense, and they know that. So if he's going to be guarding Shai, I think they're going to try to put him on. They're going to try to use Shai to attack him, either get him in foul trouble or either get him tired. And I think that's kind of another problem that the Rockets are kind of going to run into here. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mike D'Antoni plays it because his job is kind of on the line like Brett Brown's.
Yeah, big time, absolutely. I'll give the Rockets defense a lot of credit. Since they went to small ball, their defense has actually been very good, a lot better than it was before when they had Clint Capella. So, but also that's with Russell Westbrook in the lineup. So that's going to be that's actually the one I've got penciled in that I want to watch the most. I think that's going to be really fun to watch. Moving forward, though, from that one, it's on TV right now. Denver Nuggets versus the Utah Jazz. I've actually got Denver to win this in 6 games. This one's actually pretty tight right now. Last time I looked up, Utah was up by a couple points. These guys are battling right now. I think the culmination of having Jamal Murray back, Jokic, who looks in tremendous shape, and then Michael Porter Jr., who, number 1 player in the country coming out of high school, dealt with some back injuries, only played about 2 games for Missouri. He slid way down in the NBA draft lottery a year ago. He looks very good. It's 94-95 with 6 minutes left in the fourth. I think that they're just an up-and-coming young budding team, got a very good coach over there. And, we still don't know, behind closed doors, how well Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are matching. So I'm going to take Denver to win this in 6. Also, Mike Conley's not even there right now. He left to go be there with his wife for the birth of his newborn child. So congratulations to him. But I think with that going on and just the Nuggets' depth and their young guns doing what they do, I'm taking Denver to win this in 6, even if they're up 1 right now.
Yeah, I think, like you said, congratulations to Mike Conley. I think with him being out kind of hurts them. I'm taking the Nuggets in 5. Shout out to the Jazz because I heard they were taking games to try to avoid playing the Rockets in the first round. I think the Rockets beat them 2 times in the last 2 years. So I think they maybe just tired of seeing Houston, but they were doing everything in their power to avoid playing Houston in the first round again and probably go home to Houston. So with that being said, I'm taking the Nuggets in 5, like you said, with Michael Porter Jr. coming on, Jamal Murray being back. They're still without Gary Harris, but I think if he comes back in time, that they'll just be too much. Like you said, we don't know how that relationship is kind of going on with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz kind of haven't looked too well since the bubble came back. Like I said, maybe they were taking some games towards the end, but I think with the emergence of Michael Porter Jr. just gives the Nuggets another scorer and someone that the Jazz maybe just aren't prepared for right now. So I think that'll help them and hold them down until Gary Harris comes back, and I got the Nuggets in 5. And also because maybe a little bit is because because of the Jazz trying to duck the the Rockets, now I gotta watch the Rockets and the Thunder play. So it's all their fault. So I want to say they're getting swept, but I giving them a game.
That sounds a little petty of you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm showing the Utah Jazz a little more respect than you by giving them 6. You give them a gentleman's sweep, but I mean, I don't think there's even really much to talk about now. They're on the wire, man. It's 98-97 Denver. Utah's got the ball. So
Yeah, they'll probably win this game one and not win another one.
oh, you think so? I don't know. I'm definitely giving Denver a chance here, but we'll see. Final matchup of the West: Dallas Mavericks versus the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm taking the Clippers in 6. Mavericks in the clutch. Booty basura, not very good at all. I think Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis are gonna put up some amazing performances to be able to get them 2 games out of this. They've got some depth there as well, but the championship pedigree that is Doc Rivers, as well as Kawhi Leonard, along with them dogs that they got over there, just that tremendous depth that they got with the Los Angeles Clippers is going to withstand. And because of that, I'm taking the Clippers to start their run to that championship with a series win over the Dallas Mavericks in 6.
I'm picking the Clippers in 5. I like what I've seen from the Mavericks with them getting in. I like their 2 young stars, but also it's just both of their first playoff appearances ever. Also that, like you said, their offense is good until they get into the clutch, and they're going against maybe the best defensive team. I think with this being Luka's first playoff, he's going to get off. He's going to be Luka, but I think when he starts having Kawhi on him, maybe towards the end of the game, and having PG on him for most of the game, I think just throughout a series, that's kind of going to wear him down. And Porzingis, with this being his first playoff chances, I just think that the Clippers have too much wing defenders to throw at the Mavericks' top player. I mean, maybe Porzingis gets off a little bit, but I think that's enough probably to get him 1. But I think the Clippers can handle their business and kind of get it done in 5. I think if maybe the Mavs have kind of been here, maybe Luka is maybe his 3rd, 4th playoff appearance, maybe Porzingis too. I think it's kind of going to be one of those welcome to the league kind of moments, welcome to the playoff kind of moments for them. And I think the Clippers will get them. I'm giving them a game, but I think the Clippers will get them in 5.
All right. I like it, man. So before we get out of here, you want to talk about these NBA League Awards?
Let's get into it.
Start me off. I'm still looking some things up here.
Well, let's start with.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start off with the 6-man awards. I remember those people there. It's Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and Schroeder from the OKC. I think I'm gonna go with Schroeder because I think with the Clippers having 2 guys kind of coming off the bench, I mean they both are deserving of the 6-man of the year award. But I think Schroeder is someone that we kind of didn't expect. He had a good year coming off the bench last year, but his contribution off the bench and that Thunder's 3-guard lineup is kind of what got them to the 4th seed when people didn't expect them to make the playoffs. So I think that, and the other guys kind of being on the same team, I think that with all that being said, I'm going to take Schroeder. Maybe it's a little OKC in me too, but I think Schroeder definitely deserved it.
I think Schroeder deserves it. Let me not say I think he deserves it. I think he definitely deserves the recognition that he got. Probably going to go with one of the Clippers to win it again. Maybe Lou Will wins it. How many times has Lou Will won 6-man of the year already?
This could be like 4 or 5.
Yeah, so I mean I'm leaning towards Lou Will to win it again. I mean he's been the Clippers closer, even with Kawhi Leonard and PG there. Like he's been that guy to go to at the end of games. I mean he's tremendous, man. Like one day we're gonna have to seriously have the conversation about like, and I'm being so serious when I say this. Like some people might laugh, Lou Williams being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think definitely with all these, they might name the 6-man award after him. So with that being said, especially if the Clippers are able to grab a ring this year and maybe a couple more in the future, I think he'll definitely be up there to be in the 6-man. I don't know if it'd be for the ballot, but I think he'll definitely get in there. So I can see it happening. I think Lou Williams, this might be one of those like Jordan rule things where like eventually you just won the award too much, where it's kind of like maybe if someone else deserves a chance, it might be. Maybe we should give it to them. Excuse me. We should give it to them and give them a chance. So I think if one of the Clippers do get it, I think it'd be Montrezl Harrell, just because I think he was in there last year to get it too, but they ended up.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so I think Montrezl Harrell, if they're gonna give it to the Clipper, I think it'll be him just to get some fresh blood in there. But I think Schroeder definitely should get it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see as those come up. So that's 6 man. We got most improved player. Bam Adebayo, the Miami Heat, Luka Doncic, Dallas Mavericks, Brandon Ingram, New Orleans Pelicans. I think Bam Adebayo is like it should be a shoot. As great as Luka's been. Like I don't even know why Luka like should be in the conversation for most improved. Like he was so good last year, winning Rookie of the Year and everything. Like we kind of knew like where he was going to be at. I think where Bam Adebayo was, again being objective here, I think where Bam Adebayo was a year ago compared to where he is right now that's just leaps and bounds. Like he's one of the focal points of the Miami Heat's offense. He does multiple things for them. He can distribute the ball. He plays in the post for you. He's your big man. And then he made his first All-Star team this year. And we can get into that in another episode too, because for all those great things that he's done, it sounds like he's not even going to get a contract extension because of like other things that the Miami Heat are trying to do. But because of all those things that I mentioned, I think like this is his award to lose.
Yeah, I think Luca had said it after the game the other day. He thinks he should be taken out, but I think Devontae Graham from the Charlotte Hornets in there, which I kind of agree with. I think Devontae Graham kind of came out of nowhere. And to have the type of year he was having, I think he had a game winner in New York. So he was having such a great year. So I think, like you said, we seen Luca. We kind of knew what we expected from him. So I don't think he should kind of be in there. Who was the third player?
For most improved, it was Brandon Ingram.
Oh, yeah, Brandon. I can see Brandon Ingram getting it too. I think, yeah. I think it's a either or. I think if I can see why someone would go with Brandon Ingram. He was able to be an All-Star this year, and kind of where we always knew his talent, but people were kind of just waiting for him to kind of really, for it really to come out and definitely come out consistently. I think this year he kind of exploded. A lot of people maybe didn't see it, especially with Zion being out, kind of gave him the ball a little more. I think I can see why some people picked Brandon Ingram, and for all the points that you kind of just made with Bam Adebayo, I think Bam Adebayo can be picked too. I think it's either or. So for me, either one. I don't know. I think either one can get it. I can see. I think Devontae Graham definitely should be in there. That's my argument here. Devontae Graham definitely should have been in there. But either one. I'll probably take Brandon Ingram, but I can see either one.
Defensive Player of the Year, we got Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, Anthony Davis, Los Angeles Lakers, and Rudy Gobert, the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert has won this award multiple times. I'm actually going to go with Anthony Davis to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. I think, he's really been the focal point for the Lakers defense. One of the knocks on LeBron is that, for the regular season anyway, he really doesn't play any defense at all. And I think Anthony Davis really pushed him to start playing more defense. So I think a lot of the Lakers' success on that side of the ball is because of Anthony Davis. They're one of the best teams in the league. They locked up the 1 seed in the West well before the seeding games were even over. And just because of all of that, I think that this should probably be his award.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know the Lakers had the number one defense at one point, but I don't know if they ended the season with it. I think with that being said, I think AD, we always known him to be a great defender, and I think he maybe should have won. I don't know if he won it before, but I think he should have been won this award maybe a couple of times. I know a lot of people like to go very easy, but I think I'm agree with you for everything you said. I think with it being the number one defense, a lot of that was kind of AD and his ability and different things he can do and his shot blocking ability, and just kind of how he brought Braun and kind of those other guys along. So it's kind of AD and then them. So and with them having number one defense, I think he definitely should be the one who gets it.
Right on. Here, NBA Rookie of the Year. We got Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies, Kendrick Nunn of the Miami Heat. Yeah, I said that with my chest. Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. It's Kendrick Nunn, man. No ifs, ands about it. No, I'm just messing around there. Shout out to Kendrick Nunn, though. He balled out this year. This is Ja Morant's award. Like, there's no if Ja Morant doesn't win this award, it's a travesty. As good as Zion Williamson is, you don't win this award for playing, 19 games? Well, you add the seeding games in there, so 20-something games. It's Ja.
Yep. I'm going with Ja all the way. If he doesn't get it, like you said, it's highway robbery. Ja's low-key now my second favorite player in the league. The Grizzlies should have won. I'm going with Ja.
Is Ja your second favorite player in the league because he reminds you of Russ?
A little bit. But also he's balling. So
all right. Coach of the Year, Mike Budenholzer, Milwaukee Bucks, Billy Donovan, the Oklahoma City Thunder, Nick Nurse, Toronto Raptors. We talked about this already when the coaches awards came out. It was a tie between Billy Donovan and Mike Budenholzer. So you guys pretty much know our opinions on this. I have to pick somebody.
And also, we were both right, by the way. I said Nick Nurse is going to be in this conversation once the league awards came around. I'm giving this one to Billy Donovan just off the fact that, like, people said, they weren't going to make the playoffs, and they completely shattered that. And they're looking like they can make it to the second round. Like they at one point they had like the best win percentage in the league for a period of time. So I think everything that he's been able to do with this team, what they've shown, just pretty much tells you right there that he should be the guy. I'm going with Billy Donovan to win this, and pretty sure you are too.
Yep, definitely going with Billy Donovan. Like you said, we kind of got into this before, but they had like a 2% chance to make the playoffs. I mean, I picked them, maybe a couple other people picked them, but a lot of people didn't expect them to get in the playoffs. And for them, and even when I picked them, I was thinking maybe a 7-8 seed. For them to get up to the 4 seed, and we started the season off terrible. So I think we had like the toughest record to start the season off. We started the season off terrible. For him to turn that around with those new players and get up to the 4 seed, I think he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, game is tied right now, by the way, 113 with 26.5. Actually, no, the Denver Nuggets just went up 114 to 113 with a free throw by Jokic. Kia NBA Most Valuable Player. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, James Harden of the Houston Rockets, LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers. I've always said I think LeBron should have more MVPs than he does because, he's just – if you look at the numbers from certain players who have won it and then you look at his, like he's just done so much more, but, you feel like the league doesn't want to continuously give it to the same guy. But in this instance, I got to go with Giannis to win his, back-to-back MVPs. I think what he's done is just – and it's not, because I've seen some people like it's not even close. It's close. They both had tremendous years. When you look at their you compare their numbers, they're not that far off from each other. LeBron's got better numbers in some categories than Giannis does and vice versa. I just think that Giannis has done a little more to win this award as opposed to LeBron. And I know James Harden's mad because we're all just like he's in it, but he's not going to win it. But it's Giannis for me.
Yeah, same. I'm going with Giannis. I think it is close. Like I said, before the season ended, Brown was kind of making – a lot of people campaigned for him to win it, but Brown was kind of making a large case to come back and kind of get this award, especially with that big win over the Bucks and the Clippers. But I think it is Giannis, like you said, just what he's been able to do again in another year. I think it's back-to-back for him. I think James Harden, too, with him being in there, I don't think he should be too upset because I think Russ deserves a little bit of credit to be in there, too, especially the way he was playing before the season ended. So I don't think James Harden should be too upset because I think maybe Russ should have been there, but maybe that's the Russ fan in me. Who knows? Maybe, but I definitely think it's Giannis' award. But Brian is close.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Russ's name should have been in the MVP conversation from the time that they went to small ball since. Like, Russ is on a record of, scoring 25 plus. Like, he has not scored less than 25 plus since they went to small ball. Like, Russ has just been balling. I think, I think that's one of the reasons why I'd probably campaign for D'Antoni to keep his job. And people said this too, by the way, how great Russ's numbers were going to look in the D'Antoni system.
Yeah, but I don't know. You know how I feel about the Rockets. They're too up and down. They got to play a little bit of defense. I forgot the name of the coach that they had.
Their defense has been good, though, since they went to small ball. That's the thing.
It's too wishy-washy. They gotta be more consistent. They had I forgot his name. I think he was just in New Orleans, but he was like their defensive coach for like the last 2 years when they were good defensively with Chris Paul and stuff. But he ended up leaving and going to New Orleans. I think they got to bring someone in there like that who's going to take over the defense, kind of let Mike D'Antoni worry about the offense, kind of like how football does. And if they can do something like that, then maybe you kind of keep D'Antoni around. But I think they got to maybe change up that defense just a little bit.
Yeah, 115, 113. I actually want to keep this going until this game's over.
How much time is left?
22 seconds. 22 seconds. It's 115, 114 with Donovan Mitchell on the free throw line to tie it.
Oh, it might be a game winner in here.
That's why I wanted to keep going.
Live reaction on who might win the game. I was low-key hating on the Jazz, but I could maybe see it going 6. I give them an extra game. They're looking all right. I give them.
Yeah, look, Jamal Murray's dribbling it out. 10 seconds left on the clock. I've never done color commentary before. 10 seconds on the clock. Jamal Murray's pulling up. He's pulling up.
Passing the ball, Jokic coming up the lane for the win. Oh, he missed. No team.
Murray should have kept it.
Oh man, they was on him.
Keep it. They have a timeout. Why? They had 2 timeouts. Why did they not call a timeout?
Was it thinking?
It is what it is. Sometimes people like to attack before the defense gets set. Because you call a timeout, you let the defense get set up a little bit. I can see the Jazz taking it 6. I'm still gonna stay with 5.
I got Denver in 6, man. I said it. I'm not. Yeah. We're good though. I'm not about to watch this whole OT on here.
All right, y'all.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in again, man. We'll catch you guys. Well, I'm going on vacation this week. I'm actually on vacation. You know. Yeah. You know.
From work or like vacation in general?
Both.
Are you going somewhere? Oh.
Yeah, I'm out east, man. I'm gonna go chill in the Hamptons.
All right. Well, enjoy your vacation. Enjoy the playoff games. I guess we'll be back next week after. And by next week, they probably have like at least 4 games now. Yeah, the first round should be wrapping up by next week when we get back on here. All right. Well, we'll see y'all towards the end of the first round.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.